you think applique embroidery is only for experts? Well, think again, because today I'm going to teach somebody with no embroidery experience.
Hi, that's me.
How to digitize and embroider an applique design onto a sweater. I'm going to take you through the whole process from beginning to end, and I'll also show Maria a few helpful tips and yourself so that you can become an applique master.
But before we get started, remember to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our latest videos.
All right, you ready to get started?
Let's do this thing.
All right, let's go ahead and grab our materials. All right, so for this project, we're gonna need a blank sweater, hold that for me please, some applique fabric, 2 sheets of 3.5 ounce cutaway stabilizer, applique scissors, hold that for me, our standard 7511 embroidery needle, our temporary adhesive spray, our embroidery thread, our standard E-hoop, and we're gonna be using the Ricoma MT1501 15 needle commercial embroidery machine. All right, let's go ahead and start with the digitizing portion of our design. All right, let's go ahead and open up our Chroma digitizing software. Let's click on File. I'm gonna go to New. And then let's go ahead and click on our backdrop tool. And then we're gonna select our design. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna size it. From the top to the bottom, the design is 9.5 inches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it 11 inches. That way we can maximize our space on our E-hoop without going over on our E-hoop. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by digitizing the cherry. But let's go ahead first, before anything else, let's go ahead and make our backdrop tool a little lighter, and we're gonna adjust the lightness, and we're gonna put the toggle down to the middle. That way I can see as I digitize my design. The cherry is gonna be a complex fill, so we'll go over to our complex fill tool on the left-hand side and select it. After that, we will click and then hold down the command key to create our curve. And we're gonna do this cherry in one fill to avoid any gaps. So when it's embroidered, it's gonna do one fill. Then we're gonna let go of the command key here to create a stop and then continue with my curve. Okay, and once we complete that, we're gonna go over to our shape tool and we're gonna clean up any jagged curves. Okay, that looks good right there. And we'll start by digitizing the leaf. Okay, so for the leaf, we're gonna use our complex fill tool. So just like we did with the cherry, we're gonna outline the leaf. And then once we do that, we're gonna go over to the bottom of our toolbar and we're gonna change the leaf to green. And then we're gonna leave the density at 0.40. We are going to hide my leaf and cherries. And now we're gonna go over to our steel stitch tool and we're gonna start at the right of the cherry, all right? And we're gonna click and then hold command and click around the outline to create our curve. So now, once our first curve is done, we're gonna let go of the command key and we're gonna set the width to 3.5. And then we're gonna leave the density at 0.40. And now we're gonna start on the other side of the cherry. Here's gonna be our start point. And now we'll hold command again and create our curve. Once we finish that curve, we will right click, then scroll down to order, and we're gonna select to back. Since the first cherry will overlap the second one. So let's go ahead and use our shape tool to make sure the cherry outlines are clean. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna go over to our steel stitch. Now let's go up both sides of the stem. We're gonna create our start point and then hold down the command key and create your line. And we're gonna go up the right of the stem. We're gonna hold the command key and create your line. And we'll do that for the left side of the stem. Now once we do that, we're gonna go around the leaf. Remember to hold down your command key while you're doing your curves. And once the leaf is complete, we're gonna right click and we're gonna go to order and we're gonna select to back. Then we will select the outline of the cherry. And now let's go ahead and turn back on all of our sequences. So we're making sure that our sequence is correct. So cherry, leaf, and then outline. Okay, there we go. And now let's go ahead and move over to our applique. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace a line in between the blue area of the letter. And even though this is applique, I will use the complex fill tool. So let's go ahead and select our complex fill tool. And what we'll do is we're going to start right over here on the right portion of our M, near the middle. And then we're gonna do a straight line without holding the command key. And then after that, hold our command key to do our curves. So a quick tip here, just at the curves, you hold the command key, and at straight lines, you don't hold the command key, and you just make one straight line. And then you just repeat as necessary through the letter M. And there we go, we're done. And now here comes the fun part. We're gonna right click, convert to, and select Applique. And now, let's go ahead and change this to blue. So let's find a good blue here. All right, there we go. And now let's make some adjustments. So on the right-hand portion of the screen, let's change the applique width to 6 millimeters. And now let's use our shape tool around the M. We're gonna be using the cusp and smooth options. Okay, so after having done all these adjustments, I've decided let's go ahead and change the applique width to 7 millimeters. That way it makes the M look thicker on the edges, and also it makes it easier to cover my tack down stitch. And then we're gonna change the density of the applique to 0.35. And let's hit apply. That's looking really good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Maria portion of our design. So let's go ahead and select our classic satin tool. And we're gonna build a ladder on the left portion of our M. So we're gonna build our first point, and then after that, hold the Command key and build our ladder. At our last point, we'll let go of the Command key. And then we're gonna go over to our shape tool. And we're gonna fix these portions of the M. And then once we do that, we'll go ahead and we'll continue building our ladder out. So we build out our ladder on our M, and we use our shape tool as necessary to fix up any areas. All right, our letter M is done. Now we can go ahead and go to our letter A. Now for our letter A, we're gonna start at the middle of the A, and we're gonna go counterclockwise, building our ladder. And then we're gonna stop at the junction of the A and the R. So here we go, building our ladder. Remember, holding our Command key. And then right there, let go of our Command key. And there's our A. And now we're gonna go into between the junction of the A and the R. And then we're gonna start doing the R in the same process. So once again, holding our Command key, building our ladder. There we go, letting go of the Command key right there. And now we'll build our R the same way. All right, and once that's done, we'll go over to our shape tool and fix whatever lines need adjusting. All right, the Maria portion looks good. So now let's finish off this design and start on doing the stars. So for my stars, if I had a vector, I could use that, but instead what I'll do is I'll use my complex fill tool, and we'll start at the top of the star, clicking on the top point, and then holding down the Command key for every curve. And at every curve, and at every point rather, we're gonna let go of the Command key. All right, so we'll change that to yellow. And over here, the edges, they look a little rough. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to our General tab. And on the right, we will click on Connection, and we're gonna make it square and hit Apply. You'll see now that the edges look much cleaner. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy and paste the first star, and we're gonna drag it down to the next star. And then using our nodes, we're gonna resize it to fit the star. And now we're gonna do the same thing for the final star by copying and pasting the first star. You can also achieve the same result by right-clicking on the star and duplicating it. And then you click on the star in the middle, and there you go. Now we're gonna right-click and drag over the whole design, and then go to the Command tab on the right, select End Command and Trim, and hit Apply. This will clean up all of our jump stitches. Let's go ahead and we're gonna run a quick animation to see how this will stitch out. First, let's select the backdrop button, and on the top, and temporarily remove the backdrop. Now let's hit the fast forward button. Okay, good. It starts with the cherry. Okay, then it starts with the applique portion of the M. Okay, then it does the Maria name. And then last but not least, it should do the stars. There's one, there's two, and the third one. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. So that looks good. So now I'm gonna go over to my sequence tab, and I'm gonna select my cherry portions, and then I'm gonna hold down the command button. I'm gonna click on the areas that have the cherry. I'm gonna right click and then group them. After that, we're gonna go to the command tab, and then for the end command, we're gonna hit stop. That way it can go over to the applique portion of the M. And we're gonna apply. Then now we can go over to the fabric tab, and then on the fabric tab we can simulate how it'll look with the applique. So let's go ahead and let's choose our first one. And there you go. And now, just to be safe, let's simulate it one more time. And we're gonna see how this stitches out. This looks great. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and we can save this design and we can take it to embroider. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and hoop our sweater using our standard E-hoop. Let's have our sweater. Let's grab the bottom portion of our E-hoop. And let's go ahead and put this inside of the sweater. And then just make sure to take your time so that it doesn't wrinkle or it doesn't bunch up. And you want to grab the center of your E-hoop and align it with your tag if you have one. So just like that. Okay, and now we're gonna grab our 2 sheets of 3.5 ounce stabilizer. I'm gonna slot it in right here. So just like that. Let's just flatten it out. And then with the top portion of our E-hoop, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clamp it down. Okay. And here we go. All right. And just like that, we are hooped. All right. And you hear that?
Yeah.
It means we're ready to go.
Great, awesome.
Now that we've hooped our sweater, let's go ahead and hoop it onto our machine. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and hoop our sweater into our machine. Maria, would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot.
So let's make sure that the collar is in between the pantograph like that. Just like that. Make sure that the U is on the right, and then under the brackets. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now in our panel, we're gonna go to File. We already have our design loaded. We're gonna go over to the final page. And since this is for Maria, we made something for her with Applique, and it has her name on the bottom. So we're gonna hit OK. And there's our design. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to design set, and we're just gonna make sure that our E-hoop is selected, which in this case it is. So as you can adjust, okay. And we're at 100% on our parameters for the size, that's perfect. And now we're gonna do something called tracing. So we're gonna go over to our overall trace right here on the right, enter embroidery status, hit OK. We're gonna do our tracing to make sure that our design fits within the parameters of our hoop. Okay, that looks good. And then we're gonna do our contour trace just to see the exact stitch out of our design. Okay, everything fits perfectly. All right, so we've got all our tracing complete. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna change the speed to 600. And one more thing, we're gonna be doing applique, so I wanna change this to automatic manual. So AM, that way it stops after every color change. That way when I do my applique, I can lay it out and then it'll do the rest of the process. Okay? And we're good to go. So all we have to do now is hit start.
Alrighty, let's start.
All right, we've arrived at our applique portion of our design. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take it out of the machine and we're gonna place it on our table and cut out our applique fabric. All right, so we've got our applique fabric and I've got my applique scissors. Let's go ahead and place this over our hoop and we'll cut out our fabric. So let's get in here. Okay, all right, let's get started.
Andrew, is there another way to embroider applique?
Yeah, there is actually. There is another way where if you're starting out with an applique design, you can hoop your fabric and then it'll do what's called a trace stitch, and then you unhoop it, you cut it out, and then you hoop your garment, and then on your garment, it'll do a placement stitch. Then you put your applique fabric on your placement stitch, and then it'll do a tack down, and then it'll do the stitch out. In this case, we're eliminating one step. So in this case, we don't need a trace stitch because we're doing the applique fabric after the fact, since we started with this design. If we were to do the first method on here and I unhoop it, I'll lose my placement.
Got it.
That's why we're doing this one. It's a little bit easier.
Okay, I see.
So here we go. I'll show you what I mean afterwards. All right, so now we're gonna grab our temporary adhesive spray and we're gonna spray this on our fabric.
And how come we're spraying the adhesive onto the garment?
So the reason for it is so that when I lay it out on our sweater, so that this doesn't shift around, so that when it starts tacking down on the fabric, it stays in place. Okay. Let's spray on here. So you wanna spray from 6 to 12 inches away. Okay, and now we'll just go ahead and place it over. Okay, all right, we've laid out our fabric. We can go ahead and hoop this back into our machine. Okay, we've got our fabric on. We're gonna go ahead and hoop our fabric back. Just like that. Let's make sure that this doesn't get caught. Okay. And now, let me just adjust this, make sure that this doesn't come off. And we can resume. All right, Maria, go ahead and press the green button.
Okay, let's do this.
All right. So we've got now our tack down placed on our fabric. Now let's go ahead and cut it out. All right, we've done our tack down stitch on our fabric. Let's go ahead and cut it out. All right, so I'm doing the other method of the applique where we're not hooping at the start. However, I have used the traditional method before. In fact, there is an episode that we have on Embroidery Hub where we did a Letterman jacket, and that was the traditional method that we used. So if you want to take a look at that video, I'll leave a link to it in the card above in the description below, so you can check it out. Okay, let's take my time here. Just want to make sure you don't puncture the garment. All right, we've cut out our applique, and there we go. What do you think so far?
Wow. This is looking great, and we're not even finished.
Well, we're about to be finished pretty soon because we're gonna take this back to the machine and finish the rest of our embroidery. All right, so let's go ahead and re-hoop our sweater back into our machine. Just like that. And now since we're done with all of our cutting and all that, we're gonna go back to automatic. And now, Maria, one more time, hit the start button. And there we go. All right, look, check it out, Maria. Your first project is officially done.
Wow, it looks so nice.
Don't you think? Look at that.
Amazing, I love it. Came out really good.
Well, you're now officially initiated into the applique world.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's go ahead and let's unhoop this and let's clean it up. All right, so let's go ahead and unhoop our sweater and let's clean up our backing. Okay, and go ahead and try it out for yourself. This is yours after all.
Wow, I love it. Came out so nice. Okay, Andrew, I love the sweater so much. It came out great, but I've got to ask, how much can I make of this if I sold this online?
Well, okay, let's take a look at the materials. So the sweater was $13, give or take. We're looking at about $3 worth of applique fabric and $2 worth of embroidery thread. So our all-in project is about $18, give or take. However, if we were to get this and sell it online, we could sell it for over $47. So that's a profit margin of about 62%. So
wow, okay, yeah, that's great. That's amazing.
yeah, can we get another high five?
Yeah, for sure. Good job. All right, everyone, so that's it for today.
If you're looking for more inspiration for your next embroidery project or to get some more advice on embroidery, then be sure to check us out on Facebook and join our embroidery and custom apparel mastery group.
And if you haven't done so already, follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more informative and entertaining content.
And as always, if you have any ideas you'd like to see in a future episode of Embroidery Hub, then leave them down in the comments section below.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.